Do Hurtlin Hogz in Kruleboyz? I think so. But first, thanks to all my patrons. Thanks Wiberian for the channel art. And thanks Baron of Dice. Use code MDG to get 5% off your dice. I think that's all they sell, right? Dice? Yeah. Cool. So what is the Hurtlin Hogz? Well, it's a regiment of renown. You can include it in your Kruleboyz army. It comes with 1 Tuskboss and 1 Maw-grunta Gouger. It also has 2 abilities that come with it. The first one is a once per battle in your charge phase. So this only happens once per battle. And the Tuskboss has to be on the battlefield. For the rest of the phase, each time a friendly unit in this Regiment of Renown finishes a charge move, roll a d3 for each unit within 1 inch of that unit. On a 2-up, inflict an amount of mortal damage equal to the roll. If the enemy is infantry, add 1 to the mortal damage inflicted, if any. So it's a 2-up d3 to everything within 1 inch. So it means that if you finish a charge and you're within 3, or you're within 1 inch of 3 different enemies, it's a 2-up d3 for each of them, plus 1 damage, if any, if they're infantry. So this can translate into a relatively significant punch. I wouldn't say significant, but it's something. This isn't a terrible ability. You know, you call it in your charge phase, and your 2 big pigs charge in, and they could charge into the same target and deal 2 times 2-up d3. So, I mean, the average here is going to be, if both of these big pigs charge into the same unit, on average, you're going to be dealing slightly less than 4 mortal wounds. And if they're infantry, it'll be less than 6 mortal wounds. But still, this could spike, and you could deal 8 mortal wounds in the charge phase. Like, this isn't nothing. This isn't nothing. And then their other ability is called Pullin' Ahead. It's a rampage. So it's a once per turn army in any combat phase. Pick a friendly unit in this Regiment of Renown that used a charge ability this turn, that charged this turn, and has not used any other rampages. I don't know why they're saying that. They do it twice in this one, but I thought it was in the core rules where it's like you can only use 1 rampage a turn, period. Correct me if I'm wrong, down in the comments, please. The target can move d6. It must end that move in combat. Then add 1 to the target's momentum points. And it can't use any other rampages. So, moving d6 is random. After you finish a charge move, you can take one of your 2 big pigs and move them d6 and add 1 to the momentum. Movement is everything in this game. So being able to move d6 after a charge will matter sometimes. Sometimes you'll be like, oh yeah, like this big pig moves 2 more inches, and then he's able to get into combat with something that you wanted to get into combat with. Or he's able to get into combat with multiple units and sort of pin them down, which is sort of what the point of this Regiment of Renown is, I believe. So this rampage, to me, is interesting because the Tuskboss has a rampage already. If it charged, pick up to 3 Maw-gruntas wholly within 12 inches and add 1 to their momentum. So, and it's if this unit charged, which means that the Tuskboss can't use this ability to give, like, he can't use 2 rampages to give +1 momentum to the Gouger. But if the Gouger uses this ability, he's able to get an additional momentum, pushing him up to 2 momentum. The other ability that the Gouger has, the rampage that he has, is you roll a 5-up, and you add +1 to the roll for each momentum, so it'll be a maximum of 3. So it'll either be like 3-up, 4-up, no, sorry, a 2-up, 3-up, 4-up, or with 0 momentum, a 5-up. And if you are successful on the roll, then you give Strike Last to the person that you're charging into. So to be honest with you, like, this is such a really good ability. What it lets you do is it lets you take your 2 big pigs and charge them, get out of here, and charge them both into the same infantry unit, and you're able to do like 2-up d3 +1 on both of them, and then give the unit Strike Last, so your 2 big pigs are able to fight before the unit is able to fight back, which is significant. If you're going to bring 2 pigs in there, bam, bam, right? The Tuskboss gives +1 momentum to the Gouger, and you're able to just get in there and really punch things up. So that's kind of what this regiment is all about. That's what this regiment does. It's 1 drop. It's like 440 points, something like that. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it's about there. I guess I could look it up, but I'm not going to. But it's cheap. It's affordable. So how does this play out in Kruleboyz? So here I have 2 different Kruleboy lists. They're very, very similar. So as I've discussed in previous videos, I'm kind of feeling at this point that the way that you really want to get damage done in Kruleboyz is we're back to playing Boltboyz, guys. So in this list, it's 3 × 6 Boltboyz being brought with a Swampcalla Shaman. The Swampcalla Shaman does have the Swamp Staff. Check the description below for these 2 lists. I'll put them in the description. The other regiment is a Breaka-boss with a reinforced unit of Gutrippaz, 1 unit of Monsta-killaz, and a Killbow. Again, we're going for that ranged damage. And then, of course, the 3rd drop is this Regiment of Renown, the Tuskboss, and the Maw-gruntas. So if we can sort of visualize what's happening on the battlefield with these, right? Let's just set up a board really quick. When we deploy and when we are thinking about this regiment, what I really want to be doing is putting my hogs on the battlefield last. I can definitely put my Swampcalla Shaman and the Boltboyz up. We don't have Field Sergeant in this list, unfortunately. You could probably find a way to finagle the list around to fit in a Field Sergeant. But you can't do it, I guess, with the Breaka-boss. I don't think he could take anybody else. But we got our Boltboyz. We're also taking the sub-faction that lets our Boltboyz shoot further, as I've discussed in my other video with the Gets Regiment of Renown. We want to, with Field Sergeant and with this, I think it's Middle Finger, we're able to extend the range of our Boltboyz by 5 inches with their move plus the additional 3 inches to shoot. This is significant when we're talking about Hasty Shot. Hasty Shot is the more damaging of the 2 shots, unless we're facing like a 3-up with all-out defense or something like this. But with a 3-up save or worse, Hasty Shot is better and gets better and better the worse our opponent's save is. And so if we can extend that to 15, if we can extend the 12-inch range to 15 inches and add an additional 2 inches to our move, we've changed the threat range from 5-inch move and 12-inch shoot, 17 inches, to 7-inch move and 15-inch, so 22. We're able to extend that a lot, and it'll help us increase the amount of damage that our Boltboyz are doing. What we really want to be doing is throwing like all of our Boltboyz into priority targets and removing them from the game. Okay, so we got that. We got our Breaka-boss. Our Breaka-boss is taking the role of like a cleanup, right? He's going to come in at the late stages of the game. We have a unit of Monsta-killaz, which we're going to set up to take objectives, screen, and maybe kill our opponents. Monsters, our Killbow, we're going to set him up in such a way that helps, like puts him within range of enemy monsters. And our Gutrippaz are going to be kind of a screen/tar pit that we're going to sort of keep in the center, depending on the map. In this objective, we could probably pick one side or the other, but that's okay. But you can you get the idea. It's like Boltboyz, in the back, Killbow in the back, Monsta-killaz, Breaka-boss, all that other good stuff in the front. And then we have our pigs. So I think that you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either put 1 pig on each flank, and then you can try to... Oh, geez, excuse me. Or you can try to take objectives with them. You can try to take the flanks if you want. But I think that the way that you should probably run them is play them both on one side. Right? If you play them both on one side, whatever our opponent is going to do, right, we're going to move 10 inches, and then we can charge. So we actually have some movement and some mobility. And if we place them last, we're going to be able to put them in a position that's going to be really annoying for our opponent. We could even do something like where we take our Gutrippaz and we, sort of pile them up a little bit tighter on one side, and we're actually able to stick our big pigs right in the front so that they can charge and get right in our opponent's face right at the beginning, or at least maybe leave some space for this so that we can sort of do as we please. But once these big pigs right now are fantastic. So if we're able to get these big pigs into our opponent's deployment lines, if we're able to get our big pigs into our opponent's face, if we're able to make it super annoying for our opponent, our Boltboyz are going to have the chance to deal the damage that they need to do. So, like, for example, maybe on turn 1, the Monsta-killaz are going to run up here. Maybe our Gutrippaz, whatever, doesn't matter. Our Killboss is sitting back. But maybe our opponent says something over onto this objective that we find really annoying. So all that we do is we just take our Boltboyz and we just move them up the 5 inches, I guess 7 inches with Field Sergeant, and then we just unleash it, right? With our either our 15-inch or our extended range. And we're like, oh, delete the thing that was annoying, that was helping you take this objective, right? You're sort of pinned in there, but you had a flanker over here or whatever, and so we're just going to remove that from the game. And then, you know, when our opponent does finally... And we never have to charge with Gutrippaz. The Gutrippaz can just sit, and then we can have... We will obviously have our Boss Rock Tower out here, probably with our Swampcalla Shaman hanging out in it, right? Helping with our tricks, helping with our sneaks and all that. And, yep. And, yeah, and then we're throwing our other manifestations out there as well. We are 2 casts with this list, and we are, of course, taking the Gorka-Morka manifestations. So, hopefully, we're going to be able to help keep things out of our face with our manifestations here. So that's kind of the idea. It's very similar to the Gits one with the new Git Mob one, right? The difference is with the Git Mob we have lots and lots of garbage that's in the way, but it's going to be in the way in multiple different places. If I'm remembering correctly, it has 5 units, and this version with the Tuskboss and the Gouger is way fightier, has way more damage, is harder to kill, right? Is actually kind of survivable. If we go and look at the health of our Iron Jaws units, right? The Gouger has a 0.11 health per 100 points, which is pretty good. And the Tuskboss is 0.16, right? It's on a the Tuskboss is 14 wounds on a 3-up save. The Gouger is 12 wounds on a 4-up save. Right, so the Tuskboss is more survivable, but like they're pretty survivable. Like they're way more survivable than Kragnos. But if our plan is just to sort of delay our opponent for a couple of turns while our Boltboyz are sitting in the back pewing, it might actually work. You know, the Tuskboss with the extra, like with all out defense on him. You know what I mean? If we can get in at some pretty good angles, it'll work. I think that, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I have a feeling that right now the best way to play Kruleboyz as an army is to play as few Kruleboyz as possible. Oh my. Anyway, let me know what you think. Tell me if you agree. Do you think that there's Kruleboy builds that are competitive that'll work? Let me know. Like, subscribe. Wah.